This camera is so easy to use, it literally turns anyone into a great videographer, even if you don't have the most stable hands. If you're starting a YouTube channel, you want to vlog or do travel videos, and you're looking into a good camera to start with, this is the one I recommend. There are very few cinematic videos shot with this camera on YouTube, so if you're looking for some footage, here goes a 4-minute video I made with this camera. Skip it if you don't care, the review resumes in about 4 minutes. Use the timestamps to skip easily. Let's go under the Charles Bridge and let's take the signature picture of the Karlov Most, or the Charles Bridge. This is how it looks like right now. Wait for it, I'm gonna edit it and show it to you right now. This isn't a paid promotion. If I say I love this camera, it's because I really do. And I'm so pumped. I own a Panasonic GH5, an Olympus EM10 Mark III, several GoPros, but this camera is the one that truly stands out. I love it, and it's my go-to camera. I recorded some sample footage for you to download and edit. Links are down in the description. I picked this camera for a fantastic deal. I paid 250 euros or 300 US dollars, and I picked it up on Amazon. It came with 3 batteries, a triple fast charging kit, a 1-year DJI Care refresh, the floaty stick, and many other accessories. The usual price is 410 euros, so if you want this discount, you gotta check on Amazon from time to time. The Rocksteady electronic image stabilization on this camera is from another world. Every video you make just looks superior to any camera, like if it was on a gimbal. You can shake it like crazy, swish it to the left, to the right, up and down, it'll still be stabilized. Now this camera is not a dead end. It's still getting firmware updates. As soon as I bought it, another firmware update came out optimizing color for a more realistic and vivid colored performance, optimizing the auto exposure algorithm, and adding a triple function to the quick switch side button. Press once and it switches between front and back facing camera, twice to cycle through custom profiles, and hold press to access your recorded files. This camera isn't dead. DJI still cares, unlike GoPro, where they just want you to buy their products. The front-facing screen helps a whole lot, not just for vlogging, like many say on YouTube, but for setting the right composition before shooting. If you're a one-man crew and need to set the composition yourself, this screen will allow you to do it. It's easy to follow the rule of thirds this way. It's a compromise in quality, of course, when you compare it to a GH5, but the portability, the ease of use, the creativity, the fewer people turning around, it just makes it so convenient. The footprint you leave is minimal. The number of people turning around while you vlog is way smaller compared to the usual setup, with a big camera, big gorilla pod, and microphone with a dead cat. You feel more comfortable filming with this camera when you're near others. The batteries last very long. You can shoot up to 60 minutes in 4K at 60 frames per second with Rocksteady switched on. I went through 3 batteries though when shooting the video you just saw earlier, so I recommend buying at least 3 to be happy and flexible on your shoots. I love it that there's no lid for the battery compartment. You just press them in and they snap in place. The camera doesn't need a lid for the battery compartment, so that allows a bigger battery design. Efficient, just so efficient. The unit switches on super fast, and it switches on even faster and even starts shooting if you enable snapshot mode. But I don't really use this feature, and here's why. One of the best features of the camera that nobody talks about is the ability to put the camera asleep. Most cameras do it automatically after a few minutes of inactivity, but this camera has a sleep button. I always put it asleep when I'm not shooting so I don't waste the battery. When it's time to shoot, I press it and keep on going. It's different from switching it on and off like GoPros do. You don't lose your settings. I love the quick switch side button to switch and cycle through your custom-made profiles. I created many custom profiles with different resolutions, frame rates for slow motion, and different ISO ranges, and more. It's super handy and allows me to shoot much faster. All GoPros need huge adapters to connect an external microphone. This camera allows you to keep it compact without dangling crap all over the place, or huge cages that cost a fortune. $25, you get something that is compact and works super well. And guess what? The adapter not only allows you to plug in an external microphone through a 3.5mm jack, but has a USB Type-C input too, so you can still charge it and shoot. I love the screwable lens. You just unscrew it and swap it in with, for example, a CPL or ND filter. So easy and convenient in case you scratch them too. Just buy a new one and screw it on. For a GoPro Hero 7 and 8, you need to change the whole unit. Now, how stupid is that? The DJI Osmo Action can use all your GoPro accessories. Doing a transition from a GoPro to a DJI Osmo Action isn't painful from that point of view. I did it. Slow motion is superb. You can shoot up to 240 frames per second, which is insane, but without image stabilization, unfortunately. But the real magic happens at 60 frames per second and 4K. You still get rock steady, and you get to slow the footage down half the speed, which makes your videos crazy impressive. This camera, I can't stress it enough, it's insane. I am really impressed. And it's better than my GH5, it doesn't shoot 240 frames per second. The 4K quality is extremely good, really impressive. 100 megabits per second is truly sweet, I gotta say. And the grading ability while shooting in D-Cinelike allows you to get more dynamic range from your videos. There are so many cool accessories you can get for this camera, from screwable cinematic CPL and ND filters to ND1000 filters for impressive time lapses and long exposure pictures. From cheap compact microphone adapters to camera cages with cold shoe mounts. I'll recommend some accessories towards the end. I'm a one-man crew. I shoot videos myself, both vlogging and not. If you do the same, make sure you check that part out. Use the timestamps below if you want to jump to that section right away. The DJI Osmo Action shoots regular videos with high frame rate for slow motion. It shoots raw pictures, time lapses, and hyperlapses. Hyperlapses aren't so good, unfortunately. They look too contrasty, and the quality isn't up to standards with the video and picture abilities this camera has. I love the user interface. It's really fluid and responsive. The touchscreen works great. You never have to tap more than once like with a GoPro. There's always a response when you touch the screen. It is very reliable. A very super user-friendly feature is the de-warp feature. You can fix the barrel distortion or fisheye distortion, getting rid of an extra step in your editing process at home. It does crop into your picture though, so keep that in mind. I really like the built-in HDR feature. It produces vibrant videos with a higher dynamic range than the regular video mode, but I wouldn't recommend it if you're planning on editing footage. When I went to Premiere Pro and checked the waveform, the Luma only mode, I saw that the exposure of any scene is usually well exposed. Blacks are close to clipping and so are whites, with minimal loss of detail. There is little editing one can do at this point, so HDR is great if you don't want to color grade later on. If you want to color grade, go with a decent-alike color profile. A bad thing about the HDR feature is that Rocksteady won't work. So any HDR shooting must be on a tripod. No movement or you'll experience unbearable jitter. You can lock in the shutter speed and ISO and use ranges. You can set an allowed ISO range so you A, still get good quality usable footage without any noise, and B, it's still easy to point and shoot and not much fiddling around through the settings. I like the auto exposure bracketing feature for more dynamic range in post, in Lightroom for example. I love the fact that the camera operates from temperatures ranging from -10 to +40 degrees Celsius, from 14 to 104 Fahrenheit, and GoPros aren't able to do that. They're not as flexible. I love the short countdown timer before taking a picture. You can set a 1-second countdown or 2-second countdown that will shoot a picture after you've pressed the button, getting rid of any blur or shake caused by your hand. Okay, so let's talk about some accessories. I highly recommend a set of CPL ND filters to remove glare from surfaces, make your videos and pictures more vibrant, and to double your frame rate for a great cinematic look. I also strongly recommend, but it isn't a necessity, to buy an ND 1000 filter for long exposure daytime pictures, so you get rid of cars and people from your pictures, and more professional looking motion blur on your time lapses. I highly recommend buying a Delkin Fat Gecko mount, which is a super strong suction cup to stick your action camera literally anywhere. Mandatory is a magic arm to attach your GoPro onto anything in case you don't have a flat surface to use for your suction cup. I absolutely recommend grabbing an all-in-one tripod selfie stick or you won't be able to vlog or shoot time lapses. And if you want, a GorillaPod as an alternative to a tripod selfie stick. It can stick to tree branches, light poles, and it can work as a tripod or a selfie stick. My conclusion, I love this camera. The deal was too good to turn down. The videos I do are fantastic, whether I vlog or do cinematic videos, they all turn out beautiful and fun to do. I couldn't recommend it more. Of course, it cannot replace my GH5. It won't ever perform as well in low light. It's a small sensor, but the ability to point and shoot, produce stabilized videos without a gimbal, fantastic dynamic range, and well-balanced colors is just too good for the price. Now, what would I love to see on the next DJI Osmo Action iteration? I'd love to see image stabilization with higher frame rates, a higher resolution at higher frame rates, perhaps 120 or 180 frames per second at 4K. I'd love to have a bigger sensor for higher quality videos and pictures with improved low light performance that can shoot probably in 5K or more. I'd love to see a 4K live cropping feature. It's a slow timed pan between an in point and an out point of your choice. This feature is great. I use it all the time on my GH5, so it's missing on this camera. I'd love to see it on the next. I'd love to see an inbuilt mount like the GoPro Hero 9 or 8. That makes the camera more compact. I'd love to have a stitching feature for panorama pictures. Would be interesting to create a large 3x3 landscape picture out of 9 pictures put together. Now I do this in Lightroom, but it would be nice if it could be done in camera. I know it's a small camera and you can't expect miracles, but this camera is so good, it really set the bar high, really high. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, you know the drill. Like and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace!